Okay, now we're on to the third part of the tutorial. So now we're getting ready to go to the versus screen. And this is what my versus screen is going to look like. With player 1 over here and player 2 over here. This circle is going to be animated. I've already made the animations for it. It was quite tricky since I didn't know how to do it in Flash, and I didn't or couldn't do it in a 3D program. So it involved some uh, tricks, some browser tricks by animating it in Firefox, and then capturing images with iframe view, and then manipulating the rest of the images in Photoshop. So, yeah, that was interesting. Anyway, so go back to the system definition file. You know where it is. You should know where it is by now. Alright, so now we're going to go to the versus screen, or the verse screen. And we need to start uploading the images. So the first thing we're going to do is upload them to the system SFF file. As you can see, this image got displaced again. Fortunately, the second one didn't. The thing about the displacement is that after you save it with it in the right place, and then you open Mugen to play Mugen, everything will be in the right place. It's only Fighter Factory that's moving the image. So don't think that this first image is not being centered, because it is when it's saved. Okay, so I went back and I fixed the background. You can see that the transparency color is no longer showing, and I did the same thing for this this image. Now it doesn't matter that there's some it has a dark edge, because I'm going to change the trans or blending option so that the darker part won't show. Save frequently. Okay, now this will be the versus section. Which will be group 2, image 0. Okay, now I've got all the rotating circles. And I'm not going to mess with the alignment, because they're aligned to each other right now. Okay, so save. And can get out of this. And it's time to go back to the system definition file. Okay, so the versus screen, the time for the versus screen is the amount of time that the screen will show before it automatically kicks you off into the middle of the fight. I have it as 250. I think that was a comfortable time since I had an animation in there in the previous screen pack. So I wanted the animation to play, so it was 250. The fade-in time, I, for some reason, have the fade-in time longer for the versus screen than the other screen. Same thing with the fade-out time. I think I'm going to just set it back to 10, so they'll all be the same. The match text in arcade mode, you just want to put match and then this percentage in I, which stands for the number. Or you can say fight. You can also change it to fight or whatever you want to call it. The match offset is I'm not exactly sure what that is. Maybe that's since it's 320, it could be the word match. You know, the font. Yeah, it's the font. Considering that the match font is just below that. So I have it at 320. I want my match font to appear up here. I may actually try and see if I can get an animation to replicate the Ghost in the Shell's episode number. It might be cool to try and pull that off, but since I can't do that right now, due to the fact that I don't think I can make the animation so quickly, I'm just going to leave it at about 50. And the big portraits are the same portraits that the portraits that you use, the big portraits in the select screen are the same as the big portraits in the versus screen, but in my case they actually weren't the same portrait because I have I wonder if I was using this being the big portrait for the select screen, and it was just a sprite of the character standing, and this was the big portrait for the versus screen, which was a big image of the character standing sideways, so it looks like they were facing each other. That's a trick I learned back on Mugen Guide, or Mugen Guild, sorry. So I probably will do the same thing and just use the same the same setup I did before, because I'm probably just going to use those sprites for the select screen thing, but they'll probably be standing here, and maybe the sprite will come up to be about this high. You can change when I'm done with this screen pack and its release. You can change the portraits, and I'm going to release the template. If you have a character, you can just change it. So I mean, you could turn this into more of a card and create a cutout. I might even create a template so it's easier for you to create the cutout effect. Or you could use a sprite or whatever. I'll make something to go with this screen pack. Anyway, so the scale I haven't figured out yet. That's one of the things, like I said before, you have to do this after you get some characters. Of course, P1 is always, spacing is always 1. P1 offset, P1 is going to be down here. So, down by about 40. Over by about 0. Because I want them to be right up against the screen. Up against the edge. P2. It's down here somewhere, but I want P2 to be up about 0. Because he'll start up here. And I want them to end, what was the midline again? 640. It should start somewhere after 640, but this is not exactly in the center of the screen. There's slightly more space over here, so I guess it's probably about 630. That would be a good place to put it. Facing would be -1. Make sure the scale for each of the portraits is the same. The name offset, the names will go, they could go over here, both names. So that will be about 640. I'll make it 650 in this case. It'll be down about 500. And P2 should probably be about 700. Leave the name spacing alone. You'll need to check the name spacing after you have already fired up Mugen, because that's one of those things that you'll just have to check constantly until you get it right. The font should be the same for both characters. I'm looking for the text that would say verses, because I want to put it between the names, but I don't see it in here. So I might have to create some sort of background image to put verses in the middle and then put the characters' names on either side or something like that. I don't know yet. I might have to go back and do that. Okay, so the background image is not an animation. It was group 2 sprite 0. And the next animation is, I'm thinking about the layer order. The next one should be the text, so that would be all of the ones that are above the background layer need to have mask as 1. Make sure you comment everything. Oh, you can't have the same action number in the same section, but it seems like there's not a problem having the same action number in different sections. But just to be on the safe side, I would make sure all the numbers are different. So this is going to be action number 6 and begin action 6. And I have, there were 16 files. Okay, so the animation will run for 5 game ticks. If that is too fast, I'll change it to 10 game ticks. I'm actually trying to match the speed of how it was set when I made the animation. I'm going to keep the other action number down here just in case I'm able to create like an animated match animated match text or something. Okay, so okay. After the circle comes the this animation to white out. That's it's important to plan out how everything should be layered in advance. Okay, so I think I'm going to go with A1. I'm trying to remember if transparent can be the shorthand A or A1 or S, or if it can only be add or none, because if it doesn't take shorthand, you have to create an animation that will have the specific blending that you want. So you would have to change everything to an animation. I'm not sure about that, but I'll be able to tell when I fire up Mugen, and if it doesn't work, I'll quickly make another tutorial. I'll add it to the last tutorials when what I'll probably do. Okay, so the last sprite is the gray lines. Okay, so it looks like I have so versus background 5, since it's further down, then versus background 2 would be on top. So I think everything is correctly layered. And I'm going to leave this last action up here in case I have to do some more animating. Okay, those main 3 screens are pretty much the bare minimum of a screen pack. You don't have to create a win screen and you don't have to create an option screen, which are a part of the system definition files. Well, the system definition file. The other definitions, the other additions are the game over screen, the 2 intro screens, and that's it. Those are optional and they're not a part of the system definition file.